friends, you're in the middle of a summary channel. In this video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous 24 hours. We have a lot of very interesting updates, so let's start. And first we're going to talk about the conflict on the territory of Ukraine, where during the previous night between the 5th and the 6th of April of 2026 the Ukrainians carried out one of the biggest attacks in the direction of the southern parts of Russia. As you can see, we received lots of icons from this area. The first thing that was published yesterday, that was a very interesting situation, that the Russian bulk carrier carrying a cargo of wheat sank in the Sea of Azov as a result of an attack by Ukrainian drones, Kherson Oblast Governance Salda reported. So this is a very interesting situation, that bulk carrier was damaged in this area, and this is probably the first case when a vessel or a tanker or a ship, commercial ship, was destroyed on the territory of the Azov Sea. Now let's return back to the massive attack in the southern direction. This picture was published by pro-Ukrainian sources during the night, and according to this picture and according to pro-Ukrainian sources, the Ukrainians used approximately 230 drones and 4 jet-powered drones, and they were attacking in the direction of the city of Novorossiysk. The Russians stated that overnight they destroyed significant number of drones. For example, between 8 and 11 p.m. the Russians destroyed 148 drones, and overnight the Russians destroyed additional 50 drones over the territory of the Russian Federation. As for the city of Novorossiysk, during the night we received lots of updates from this area, lots of videos. For example, here we can see a port infrastructure of the city of Novorossiysk that was damaged as a result of Ukrainian attack with hundreds of drones. Here we can see the moments how civilians were making a video somewhere from the central part of the city. Here we can see explosions. Here we can see Ukrainian drones flying over the city of Novorossiysk. Here we can see the moments when a drone struck the high-rise building in this area. Here we can see another video published by civilians where we can see explosions and where we can see how a building in the central part of the city was damaged significantly. Here we can see another video, another attack on the building. So lots of damage the Ukrainians managed to deal, and the most important, the Ukrainians damaged the port infrastructure. So and as we know, the Russians are using the port infrastructure of Novorossiysk for many purposes, for military purposes and for export oil purposes. So that was a very big attack carried out by the Ukrainians.
Hvem kunne vide, at en smule røg ville udløse sprinklerne på samtlige etager? Af og til har du brug for en A-kasse.
The Russians during the night also attacked the territory of Ukraine, and the Ukrainian sources stated that overnight the Russians used 141 drones to attack the territory of Ukraine. The Ukrainians are saying that during the previous days the Russians began bombing and attacking the Pavlograd, the Poltava region and the Sumy region significantly. For several days in a row, strikes have been carried out on Ukrainian Naftogaz facilities. Drones attacked a gas production facility in the Poltava region overnight, which had already been shelled the previous day, the company reported. Another oil and gas facility in the Sumy region was also hit. A fire broke out there after the drones landed. So this is the city, the Sumy region. Here we can see the moments of how the Russians were attacking these territories. You can see lots of explosions were recorded. Some facility was damaged significantly. As you can see, the Russians destroyed the oil reservoir on the territory of this facility as a retaliatory strike on the Ukrainian attacks on similar objects on the territory of the Russian Federation. And here we can see the Poltava region, and here we can see a fire anomaly on the territory of this area. So a gas well in Poltava appears to be on fire, presumably a result of a Russian strike. So as we can see, both the Russians and the Ukrainians continue attacking each other. We see that currently nobody is ready for a negotiation process, despite the fact that a lot of statements on this matter were stated by different sources. Witkoff and Kushner may come to Kiev after Easter. Senator Lindsey Graham will likely also be there, Budanov said. According to the head of the president's office, the key issue for Ukraine is security guarantees from the United States in the event of a possible agreement with Russia. So maybe the delegation of the United States of America is going to come to Ukraine, probably to discuss the final agreement, the final security agreement that could be signed by the United States of America after the end of the conflict on the territory of Ukraine. But it seems that this might not even happen. Now let's move further and let's discuss the situation on the ground during the previous 12 hours, 24 hours. Additional changes were recorded. And first, let's talk about the Zaporozhye direction, where both the Russians and the Ukrainians are attacking each other. First, let's talk about the western Zaporozhye direction, and these are the changes on the ground between the dates. This is, for example, the end of the 4th of April of 2026. This is the end of the 5th, and this is the beginning of the 6th of April of 2026. According to this pictures and these updates, the Ukrainians are keeping counter-offensive operation in the direction of the city by the name of Stepnogorsk. The Ukrainians, according to neutral mappers, managed to improve their positions to the north of the settlement of Stepnogorsk, and the Ukrainians managed to improve their positions significantly on the territory of the settlement of Novoyakovlivka. We have even a video where we could see how Russians were attacking positions of the armed forces of Ukraine on the territory of the settlement. So based on these videos, we have adjusted the map. Furthermore, we have additional and huge changes on the eastern Zaporozhye direction. As you can see, the Russians managed to improve their position significantly. So these are the changes on the ground between the dates. This is the end of the 4th of April, this is the end of the 5th of April, and this is the beginning of the 6th of April of 2026. Pro-Ukrainian sources published a video where we could see how Ukrainians were attacking Russians like exactly along this line. We're talking about not just attacks on sabotage and reconnaissance groups of the armed forces of the Russian Federation. We're talking about attacks on Russian major positions. So based on this video, we won't watch this video due to casualties, but based on this video, we have adjusted the map. So we have colored the entire pocket to the east of the settlement of Gulyai-Polska and the complete control of the armed forces of the Russian Federation. As you can see, there used to be a big gray zone, but now we have colored the territory under complete Russian control. Furthermore, according to neutral mappers and according to pro-Russian sources, the armed forces of the Russian Federation managed to improve their position significantly, and basically the clashes for the settlement of Gulyai-Polska have begun. The Russians entered the settlement of Gulyai-Polska from the east and from the northeast, and currently there are very heavy clashes for the settlement, and we believe that in coming days the map would be adjusted significantly in this area, and we will color the settlement of Gulyai-Polska and the complete Russian control. And then the battle for the settlement of Novorossiysk begins, and if the Ukrainians lose control over the settlement of Novorossiysk, then we can start saying that the battle for Orekhov agglomeration begins as well.
Kim?
The Ukrainians from their side are counter-attacking in the northern direction around the settlements of Ternovata, Boykovo, Razdvyanka and Vyzdvizhivka. So these are the changes on the ground between the dates. This is the end of the 3rd of April of 2026, this is the end of the 4th of April, this is the end of the 5th of April, and this is the beginning of the 6th of April of 2026. The Ukrainians, according to these reports, managed to improve their position significantly to the south of the settlement of Ternovata, Kosovtseva and Pridorozhne. So it seems that Ukrainians are trying to encircle the Russians who are currently located on the territory of the settlement of Ternovata. So it seems that in coming days the Russians and the Ukrainians will continue fighting for this pocket. The Ukrainians would try to encircle the Russians and to create a cauldron. The Russians will try to hold their positions, and we believe that in coming days the Russians will launch counterattacks with the purpose to maintain the corridor for supply support and evacuation. Furthermore, we have readjusted back the territory of the village of Boykovo. I would like to remind you that several days ago, more precisely on the 1st of April of 2026, pro-Russian sources published a video and made a report that they managed to capture the settlement of Boykovo, but 3 days after, the Ukrainians carried out a counter-offensive operation in this area, and as a result of a counter-offensive operation, the Ukrainians managed to restore complete control over the settlement. Telling the truth, we believe that the village of Boykovo is in the gray zone because neither the Russians nor the Ukrainians have strong control over the territory, but obviously there are very heavy clashes for some minor control or something like this. The Russians are keeping advancing in the northern Zaporozhye direction, and during the previous 24 hours, lots of videos were published from the area of Ternova. We have a video confirming that the Russians are about to recapture the settlement completely and to force the Ukrainians to fall back. Furthermore, we received lots of updates from the area of the village of Berezova. In this video, we can see how Ukrainians were attacking positions of the armed forces of the Russian Federation in this area. Based on this video, we came to the conclusion that the Russians have recaptured the settlement of Berezova. I would like to remind you that according to pro-Ukrainian sources, the settlement of Berezova is under complete control of the armed forces of Ukraine. For example, this is the map by the end of the 1st of April, when most of these territories were colored as a gray zone, or the territories under control of the armed forces of Ukraine. But now we have enough of proofs to make a conclusion that the Russians are counter-attacking, and the Russians are trying to restore control over everything they lost during the Ukrainian February and March counter-offensives. The Dobropolye direction. During the previous 24 hours, additional changes were recorded to the southeast of the settlement. This is the end of the 4th of April, as you can see, and from this very moment it seems that the Ukrainians launched counterattacks and restored control over the territories between the settlements of Belitsk and Novodonbass. So the Ukrainians are trying to do everything they can with the purpose not to allow the Russians to shorten the distance to the city of Dobropolye itself, because the city of Dobropolye is a case city in this area, and if Ukrainians lose control over the city of Dobropolye, the Russians will enter the Dnipropetrovsk operational space, and the Russians will continue advancing further in the northwestern direction, and it seems that nobody will be able to stop the Russians, because when talking about the settlement of Dobropolye and when talking about the territory further in the northwestern direction, the nearest city, more or less big city, is the city of Lazova, and between the settlement of Dobropolye and Lazova there are just small villages and towns, which obviously would be very difficult terrain foothold for the Ukrainians to control and to protect territories. The distance between Dobropolye and Lazova is around 70 kilometers, which means that up to 50 or even 60 kilometers of these territories the Russians would be able to pass with less resistance from the Ukrainian side. The Konstantinovka direction, we have adjusted the map, we added additional gray zone, we have additional infiltration area that was created or expanded by Russians. The clashes are taking place already in the central part of the settlement of Dovga Balka, but at the same time the Ukrainians managed to counterattack in the area of the village of Vilinka and to restore control over some territories. The Russians are keeping bombing the city of Konstantinovka with aviation, trying to break the resistance of the armed forces of Ukraine, but still the Ukrainians hold their positions.
Your last chance to disappear until summer and come back unrecognizable. Start
the Slaviansk direction. During the previous day, we received a very interesting video from the area of Krivo Luka. This video, we can see how Ukrainians were attacking Russians in this area, and this episode took place along this road somewhere here, but as of the morning of the 6th of April, I am not sure how to adjust the map. Either we need to color everything to the east of this point, including this stronghold, or just this line. So we will think about this during the day, and we will adjust the map before the next video. The Russians are keeping bombing the city of Liman with bombs, with aviation, trying to break the Ukrainian resistance as well. But the Ukrainians, as for the city of Liman, also hold their lines. The northern directions. During the previous 24 hours, small changes and updates were recorded along the border. Today, pro-Ukrainian sources published the video, this one, how Ukrainians were counter-attacking in this area, and pro-Ukrainian sources are saying that as a result of a counter-offensive operation, the Ukrainians managed to recapture these two big forests along the border. As of now, we haven't received even a single episode, even through this video, where we could see or geolocate this additional progress on the ground, but this is what the Ukrainians claim as of the morning of the 6th of April. So most likely, we have updates that maybe we will in coming days adjust the map in this area in the Ukrainian favor. We have covered most of the updates regarding the